Well, to talk a bit more about this relationship between France and Rwanda, let's bring in international affairs commentator Doug Herbert. Doug, first of all, tell us a bit more about this relationship and this report that's lifted a veil, so to speak, on France's complicated role in the genocide.
Yeah, the relationship since the genocide in recent years has been one of mutual recrimination, both sides blaming the other. Basically, though, France hiding, covering up, not really owning up to its alleged role in what was one of the worst genocides of the late 20th century. What this report is, it really was compiled by 14 historians. It was a fact-finding commission appointed actually by Emmanuel Macron. And they went 2 years of research, and they just poured over all the archives that you were just talking about 8,000 documents in all. What did they find? Well, first of all, they said, we're historians. We're not judges. This is not a legal verdict, but it's a pretty damning historical verdict. They found that France, under former president at the time, François Mitterrand, bore a crushing responsibility to the events, to the slaughter of up to 1 million Tutsis and moderate Hutus over a 100-day massacre from April to June 1994. And they basically said that it was both, they looked at the period right before that genocide and during the genocide. And they basically said that France's politicians looked at Rwanda at the time through an ethnic prism. That is to say that they supported the Hutu regime, which would go on to lead this genocide, slaughtering up to 1 million people in that country, and that they basically favored those Hutu. And that subsequently, when the French military came in under a now notorious operation called Operation Turquoise, it was supposed to be, it was a French-led mission under UN auspices that was supposed to be humanitarian. Lots of questions still outstanding. What exactly happened there? Because that mission apparently let, or allegedly let, thousands and thousands of Hutus flee over the border towards the end of the genocide, leaving the country. Why weren't they stopped? Why weren't they arrested? Also, there are signs that there were many French who tried to warn the government that there was an imminent genocide, that this was about to happen. It's not like no one knew. So also the government under François Mitterrand, his top military advisors, his top senior counsels, all accused of almost willful blindness, despite clear warnings at the time that this was anything but inevitable.
Doug, now, even before this report came out, there were already signs of an easing in the tensions in the relationship between the two countries. Tell us about that.
Yeah, look, we've seen moves, and I have to just call them that at this point, a thawing of relationships in both the cultural and economic spheres. France hasn't had an ambassador in Rwanda since 2015, but it now does have a sort of commercial representative in the French embassy building in Kigali, and the capital of Rwanda. There's been some more investment by French companies, enterprises, notably Vivendi, which has opened a cinema in the capital of Kigali in concert with an affiliate and a Rwandan affiliate. There's also just been moves more to open up perhaps the road to what they call normalization of ties. And that would obviously mean getting the ambassador back in place at some point. There's obviously talk as well of Emmanuel Macron himself paying a visit perhaps as early as next month, mid-May, COVID permitting. He would be the first French president in 11 years to visit that country. The last one to go was Nicolas Sarkozy, and going back to that era, when he was there, he talked about French errors, French mistakes, but that is quite an understatement given what these historians turned up in that report. I will just end with this thought. The report is just the beginning. It's not the end of a long process of coming to terms with a very dark episode in history. It does not say France was explicitly complicit in the genocide, but it does say that by its actions, or sometimes even absence of actions, it bears a heavy responsibility for the fact that so many hundreds of thousands of people were basically left to fend for themselves and were massacred in an extremely horrific episode of history.